Evening, folks. Time being 5:33 and 8 seconds. This is the Master Plan Committee for October 23rd, 2024 meeting. This meeting today will be held at the Municipal Building in the third floor training room, 355 East Central Street right now. A note to residents, all citizens are welcome to attend public board and committee meetings in person, and the meetings will also be live streamed by Franklin TV. Recordings of meetings are available on Franklin TV's Franklin Town Hall TV station YouTube channel. And additionally, in efforts to maximize citizen engagement opportunities, citizens will be able to continue to participate remotely via phone or Zoom. Link to access the meeting tonight there's a URL on the agenda, as well as a call-in phone number, which is 1-929-205-6099, and enter the meeting ID 822-3355-8128, and then press pound. I'll say that slowly. 1-929-205-6099, and enter meeting ID 822-3355-8128, and press pound. Now, the first thing on our agenda tonight usually is subcommittee reports, Amy. But just in case anybody has anything to report from the subcommittees. Gino, anything new?
No.
Okay. Kobe, anything to report from your committee? Just as a general update.
No, nothing beyond what we'll discuss tonight.
Okay, and Rick, anything new?
Yeah, we met a couple times for the economic development and the housing, and tweaked everything, I think, pretty well. So I think we're in good shape.
And thank you, Rick. And then Meg is not going to be able to make it tonight. And is Janelle online right now? No. All right. So we'll get updates from them later. So moving on to the next thing on our agenda, we have finalizing the implementation plan. Amy?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, subcommittees. You guys said you could get it done, and you did. So appreciate all the time, the effort, and the meetings that were put together to get us down to this final draft document. I sent out an email this week that Jill had, with Barrett Group, had updated all the changes and incorporated them into the implementation draft. So they all should hopefully be reflected in there, and I thought maybe tonight, there's any final comments. I did get 2 comments today from staff members that I wanted to address. But other than that, I want to kind of get a sense with all the subcommittees if they're satisfied with what they have in front of them, so we can move on to the next steps.
Very good. I think what I'll do is I'll shoot this over. Gino?
Yes, a sort of a minor thing, but one of the changes in the sustainability section that was feedback from staff people is that the conservation director wanted to be added to many of the tasks. I didn't see that reflected in here. And I think when our committee had specified Conservation Commission, and correct me if I'm wrong, members, but I think we anticipated that included the Conservation Director, but it just wasn't printed out that way. And I didn't see that incorporated in this final.
That's correct. There's still some responsibilities that would need to be added that I'm going to go
Oh,
through.
okay.
Yeah, there's still some blank responsibilities that Jill wasn't sure, but I'm going to go down and try to fill that all in prior to it going out. So
That was all.
two changes just that was brought up was open space, OSR 5.4.
Okay.
This becomes an ethics issue. It was asked to be removed.
That's OSR.
It's towards the bottom.
Bring it up.
It becomes an ethics thing where the commission can't solicit businesses to get them, for donations and promotion and stuff like that. So that was asked to be removed.
And that was 5.4?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I read that email. That was from Brika Lai from Conservation, correct?
So that was asked to be removed. And then
Sorry, that's not, Is that not aligning? 5.4,
You said 5.4
tree canopy
under.
guidelines.
Oh, wait, am I
No,
in the
no,
wrong
no.
one?
That's not it. It's, investigate potential partnerships with local nonprofit and educational organizations and businesses.
So that was
They
5.
can't partner with businesses as has, you know, a board of the town. They
And
cannot.
that was under natural, cultural, historic resources.
No, that was in the open space and
Open space and
recreation.
Pull that up
Down.
here.
OSR
Wait.
5. Oh, that is.
You gotta go, you're in land use, you gotta go way down.
All
Yeah.
the way down. There we go.
Mm-hmm, so that's two,
So
you gotta
that's
get
sustainability.
2.5, not sustainability, before
Uh-huh.
sustainability. It is
This
green though,
this
it's right
is what
before.
happens when I.
There you go.
There it is.
5.4.
There it is. Yep,
Gotcha.
that was
So-
asked to be removed.
Needs to be removed.
The whole
Yes.
thing, or just
No,
the
no, no, just
businesses?
that action item. Just that one action item. OSR 5.4.
But could it just be the businesses removed? Couldn't they partner with a nonprofit, or like, say, Charles River Watershed, or some other nonprofit?
Yeah, they probably could.
Mm.
We could say businesses. We could remove that, the word businesses.
And there has to be like a third party person, a third party for, nonprofit for like Schmitz Farm and Maple Hill and stuff like that, right? So there has to be some kind of coordination
Mhm.
With some third party.
with some.
Right.
So why don't we just take businesses out?
Okay.
I think I agree.
Can I add land trust?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
don't-
part of
well,
it. That's
I don't,
like-
that's part of nonprofit. I don't think we wanna specify who, but
Okay.
I think that'd be part of the
that's a
land
local
trust or
land-
nonprofits.
That's a local nonprofit.
Yeah, those are local.
Metacomet Land Trust, does that
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just, that to me seems like the biggest one. But.
Second
Suggesting.
change
Oh, okay.
is in sustainability, which I know this was coming strictly from Board of Health, Town Administrator, Building Commissioner, because I know this is one of your favorites, but it's S3.1, adopt specialized opt-in energy code.
What do they have to say?
That they don't see this as ever being a requirement.
So adopt
Good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, why?
I think there's different sides. I don't know a lot about this, but I think there's different feelings about going all electricity versus not going all electricity and being forced to go one direction and not having the choice of giving both those options, I think, is where their comments on it is what I.
The people
Well,
that care about the future of
I
Franklin.
would oppose,
disagree.
I would oppose removing it. I
Okay.
think that's a
Well,
very important element
it's-
here.
The thing is that in 2017, we, the council, actually approved putting the town of Franklin on the stretch energy code, the
Mhm.
second level of the stretch energy code. We haven't yet approved moving ourselves up to specialized stretch energy code, but we all, for all intents and purposes, we kind of look for as many energy-saving code requirements that we can start to implement. There's no reason why this shouldn't be under this goal. I agree with
Mhm.
everything that's been said, so I don't see I guess I just don't see their argument. What's their, can you explain a little bit more what their issue is?
I didn't get a whole lot of information. They just didn't feel it should be in the master plan, and
Could I get a clarification on what the?
What the department wants?
Yeah, so, on the up-to-date implementation plan, it has, like, the rest of it all crossed off, right?
right.
Based on, is that what they want?
Well,
They
I
want
know
the whole thing gone?
the whole thing.
Okay.
Am I not looking at the most recent copy?
Yeah,
looking
I'm
at
not. Did you go to that link?
Yeah, Amy sent us the link. Okay,
My,
Mhm.
I agree with Gino, I think we should keep it in.
1022.
You know, it can be a long-term goal, we could make it, or we can make it, you know, we can just keep working on it, I think it's something we should work on. Especially if we need to reach our zero emission,
Okay.
goals of the state, isn't that
Mhm.
right?
I agree. I think we keep it on.
Agree, and I'd just add that, you know, there's a lot of other provisions there other than converting over to electric heat that are important for sustainability purposes, which we should work to strive towards completing.
Is that for new construction or?
Mostly new construction, yeah.
And major
If you do-
renovation.
If you do more of a percentage on a remodel, I think.
40%
I don't
is
know
the
what-
trigger.
Okay.
So it basically gives people no choice, you've gotta go electric.
No,
There's a
there are
little bit of
options. There are ways
options.
to
What
go.
are the options?
If you continue to use fossil fuels, then the requirement is that you add solar panels to the building. And you have to pre-wire so that you could convert in the future.
But
You have
that's,
to pre-wire now on new construction, right, Glenn?
I'm sorry?
You have to pre-wire now
Yes.
for solar on
Well,
new construction.
Yes, the specialized stretch code requires that there's pre-wiring for any new one and two family dwellings in the state of Massachusetts.
Listen, Ed,
That's
who-
new
who-
construction.
Who spoke up on this, the town administrator, the building commissioner?
Yeah.
I mean, the
Board of
building
Health.
commissioner knows more about the stretch code than most people.
Mm-hmm.
He should.
Yeah, he wasn't in support of it.
Well, exactly, so you should go with the recommendation of the administration. They know what they're talking about more than, you know, we got dreams, but doesn't mean it's gonna be.
No, but our committee is charged with plotting the future of the town. And this is an important element, one of the most important elements that we can address, I believe.
if the board,
There are like at least 45 cities and towns that already have adopted this. It's not like this is,
Not
we're
even
out
half.
on the limb.
That's not even half.
so, can it be worded though, if this board so feels to move forward, that would only apply to new construction? I certainly
No.
wouldn't wanna see elderly people in town forced to comply at thousands
Well,
and thousands of dollars.
we can't
that have been living in
we
town.
can't really do we can't do pre-existing non-conforming changes anyways. It's not like you have to force
It's not
somebody.
a zoning issue. It's,
Right. So this is, again, it still only
Okay.
applies under Massachusetts state law to any new construction, any single family or two-family dwelling.
Not an addition
No.
or something to bring an
This-
elderly
Oh, it-
person in.
The wording of the Massachusetts law says new. You know, to my code book under Mass Amendments under.
So adding a new addition to an
two-
existing home to bring an
I think
adult
it's
in.
22040.
Where do they come from originally?
I'm sorry?
Federal government, where do they come from originally?
What, the stretch code?
Yeah,
The specialized stretch code?
yeah.
That's actually, there's 3 levels to the stretch code. There's specialized stretch code, the stretch code, and then there's regular energy code. Each town chooses to adopt what level of stretch code they choose to adopt. The town of Franklin has yet to adopt the highest level of that. We adopted. the
Well,
stretch-
where do they emanate from? The federal government?
It's a
Down to
state,
the
it's a state thing.
State
Yeah.
only?
It's a state thing.
So is it the idea to eliminate all
Yeah.
fossil fuel
That's
in
what
all
you
homes?
The way it reads is that any one or new two-family houses that could be on fossil fuels have to be pre-wired to meet future electrification needs.
But that's the existing stretch code you said. Didn't-
That's,
The
that's.
specialized stretch
specialized
code for single-family homes applies to, I'm trying to remember the details, but the main provisions apply to houses of 4,000 square feet or more.
Okay.
There's a lower level of compliance for smaller houses. So there's already that flexibility in there.
So if someone owned a new home, they could not have both electric and gas?
They could, but if they have gas, they have to have solar panels, unless solar panels aren't feasible for the location, like if there's
Right.
trees all around or
I mean, if
something.
someone chooses to have gas for cooking or a fire pit in their backyard, that would all be gone?
There it is.
No,
Mhm.
no.
Listen, this could all change in 2 weeks anyway, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't be concerned.
All right. Any,
Because I know insurance companies right now are pulling away from homes with car charges that are internal in the home. They want to show your house.
Car charges.
Like if you have an electric car and you pull it in, you
Mhm.
plug it in,
so
the
the
insurance
way,
gets canceled.
so the way this is currently shown, Amy,
Mhm.
the way it's stricken,
Well, they haven't canceled mine
Um,
yet.
It's coming.
that, the strike is their suggestion.
Yep.
What?
What,
Wait,
what's
just-
shown here
no.
is strike-through type. Our committee, our subcommittee struck that out.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Because it wasn't
Right.
related to
Right,
the
right, right.
specialized
No, yes,
code.
and
Wanted-
the
yeah.
building commissioner wanted the whole thing striked out, is basically what I was saying. So, whatever this committee decides.
I mean, it's a goal, right? It doesn't,
It's
it
a,
Right.
it's an
doesn't mean
action item.
we never, we didn't reach all of our goals, or all of our action items in the 2013 master plan.
True.
I think it's this is what we aspire to be, right, kind of thing.
Mhm.
So, I don't know, do we wanna vote on it, or do we wanna,
Well,
Maybe vote, just,
you don't wanna vote?
Consensus?
Okay,
I think what we'll do is we should probably take a vote on each content area based on each goal and the action items that are in those goals. So ultimately, I think to kind of expedite the process of voting this document is that we just simply take a vote on each goal. Does that make sense, Amy?
on each
On each-
section?
On each goal in each section, but not
No.
not each, huh?
I think you just go by section. I don't think
Just
we
go
need
by
to-
section?
You don't even have to vote on every goal. I mean, I think if there's no more comments, if we go around the room and there's no more comments on the entire document, you just vote on the entire document if you wanted to.
Yeah, we could.
You know, I don't know if there's any more comments. I gave my comments.
I don't
So,
have any further
I'll
comments.
hand it
So,
over to anyone else.
what I'll do now is throw that over to, who's online? I can't see who's online.
Janelle's online.
Where's Janelle? Hey, Janelle. Do you have
Hey,
any
everyone.
further comments in regards to land use and zoning that you feel need revision, additions, deletions, et cetera?
No, I think we got most of our comments. We went back and forth with Department of Planning Community Development on some of those sections. While I have the floor, I am for adopting specialized opt-in energy code as a long-term goal.
Okay. Thank you.
And
Janelle.
and we ran into this on land use and zoning too. There were a couple things that we said, establish this or adopt this or, add this. And some of the comments back were review and consider. Right? So as a subcommittee, we talked a lot about, well, are we pushing ourselves to actually do it? Or is the whole master plan going to be think about things for the next 10 years? And so I like saying, as a committee, we want to adopt these things. And it may never happen, but we are here today saying it's a worthwhile goal. So those were a couple of the things changes that were made to land use and zoning where we tweaked that language just enough, but to keep it within our stated objectives and goals.
Perfect.
Can I ask?
Yes,
land use
thank
some
you,
questions?
Janelle.
Yeah, land use is a weird one. I don't envy your charge. I've been waiting to make sense of it, and I still sort of don't. You kind of just fill in a whole bunch of different categories, and a lot of it's duplicative of other, and I think that's okay. It seems consistent, though perhaps not always clear to someone who picked it up in 10 years. But I think that's just the nature of your charge. Questions that I had. 4.2, I don't know if you have them in front of you.
Yeah.
Increased percentage of commercial industrial land use. And then you have areas identified under that. Wondering how you identified those areas. And part of that is approaching Bellingham line. I assume that's along 140, but
You're
is
assuming
that
correct.
Yeah.
accurate?
It is, and we can add that specificity there, if that makes sense. So to answer your first question, how did we think about this? Well, we were talking through looking at other goals throughout the whole master plan, and how does land use help further these goals? So where there's overlap, where we have a section on housing, or we have a section on retaining businesses, right? Or should those be in the housing section, or should those be in economic development? Well, we tried to hold ourselves to what is specific to land use that can further these other broad goals, right? Like, we're not the ones saying you should market to bring businesses in, but we can say, can we increase our percentage of commercial and industrial? This also spun out of a conversation. There was a proposal to all the land around the Forge Park train station. That could be housing. That could be an amazing multi-use development. But that's one of our few remaining industrial locations. So how does that get balanced? And we just really wanted to highlight it, that we think in targeted locations in town, we can increase. And maybe it's just expanding those zones around the edges, where the existing zones where we can, or figuring out ways to increase density within those zones.
Why Washington Street? And where on Washington Street?
We got an industrial zone right there. We went to industrial zones and we worked off of them. We're not gonna stick a new industrial area in a residential.
Got it. Got it. So you looked
Bruce,
at
can
it.
you speak into the mic? Because I couldn't hear you.
Sure. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
I just explained to him that we picked areas that were already zoned industrial so that we could expand on them and not try to stick industrial in residential zones.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. So maybe look at both expanded and increased density within. Yeah, I'm just wondering if we can be a little more. If I'm unclear, then I would imagine others might be. I'm just wondering if we can be a little more specific, but maybe not. I mean, maybe I'm supposed to be reading as, well, it's supposed to be any current industrial zone.
I mean, I would love it if there could be like a simple map diagram that maybe our consultants threw in here, or planning department, that kind of shows these things. Is any of this going to have illustrations?
Not in we didn't plan or scope it to put it in the implementation plan, no. There'll be illustrations in the master
In
plan
the-
itself,
in
and
the
photos and
appendixes,
stuff like that, but
yes.
not within the implementation plan.
Right.
So
Toby,
we'll
I
only
think,
have maps for what exists, but not for anything that's proposed.
Correct.
Janelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think when Brian was here, he suggested that we not pinpoint any particular areas where we would do this. It's a generalized area, and that's what we
Yeah,
got.
he said not parcels, but general zones. Yes, we could.
Yeah, how much did you talk about Washington? I mean, Washington's weird.
Yeah,
It's probably the industrial area that we get the most pushback in town from residents on
Right.
expanded industrial use. And I was wondering how you guys thought about that. I mean, the benefits are that it has like the backwards access to Grove Street, and it has like, the existing industrial park / I think maybe an improved turnaround for trucks, but it's not easy access to any highway.
Like right down Washington the
Grocery.
King, right there. Washington the King,
The biggest
right
parcel
to
on
45.
Washington Street can access out the back onto Grove Street. The only reason why they're not letting them do that is because all of a sudden the charter school decided to put a school in. And I still say to this, to this day, there's more kids that have driven to school than walked to school. So I don't think there's any danger. Obviously, nobody wants to see a child get hurt on his way to school. But to say that you can't use that exit out to Grove Street, which it was designed for originally when they built the industrial park there, is ridiculous. Grove Street's an industrial road. It might not be built up to a 4-lane road, but it's an industrial road. There's trailer trucks down there all the time. They can certainly make the intersection at Grove Street now that they put the light in, they don't have to wait there all day. And they can certainly make the exit onto 140 to 495. So depending on where they're going, if they use that rear exit there, went out to Grove Street, they could go to Washington, King, right to 495, or they could go to 140 and 495.
Not in disagreement, just wondering if we could be more specific, if we need to be. I mean, I'm assuming you guys had more conversations than I, but, you know, it feels, Washington Street in particular feels like a sensitive one. Upper Union also feels like, near King Street, that makes a lot of sense, but the further we get up Upper Union, we're into the Abbey, and I'm assuming we're not proposing factories around there.
No, they're all solar farms up there, so who cares?
Yeah, they got a windmill, they got solar farms, plus you got a scenic road up there too, so you're not gonna do much.
And the apple grove.
I'm not pushing back on concepts. I'm trying to shed light on maybe a need for increased specificity on expanding industrial and then vaguely naming 4 streets.
Maple Street? Where else then? Those are your main arteries, those are your.
No, just be more specific, and I'd be happy to add some language, like I would say Upper Union Street, near King Street, Washington
I don't really
Street.
want to limit us
No.
to this.
Yeah, right.
This
Again,
is
these are
really
goals, just like the
These are
electric,
goals.
these are goals.
These are
Just like the
action
goals for
items.
your,
That'll
bus
be
route.
fi-
Yeah.
that'll
You
be
think we're
figured
gonna have
out
bus
when you
routes
go
on there.
develop any new bylaws
We're
or
the-
any of that. You'll
We are the
pinpoint it
master
then.
planners. Our job is not to go blind and point at places on the map. We're trying to be specific about certain areas, not parcel by parcel, but
That's not what the-
specific
that's-
about where it makes sense to be industrial.
That's
Not
not-
all of Upper Union Street, it makes sense to be industrial.
That's not what the Department of Community Planning told us. When
I-
they came
that I
to-
strongly
when they
disagree
came
with
to our
anyone that-
meeting.
that-
Okay,
that
you
says
can disagree.
otherwise.
Well, Toby, you still have the ultimate decision, because it would
you're
have
on
to be
council.
rezoned and go to the council. You just can't have an open blanket to do it. That specific areas have to be rezoned down the line, that's our goal.
We shouldn't be bad at our job because we think that the town council is gonna pick up our slack. Like, our job is to be specific in our
Well,
plan.
obviously, the town council doesn't pick up the slack. What happened on King Street?
That's my point.
Okay, all right. We
Don't
dig- we-
rely on
we-
anyone else.
We digress. Hold on a second. For one thing, let's remove the near King Street comment just for now.
We're talking about King and Upper Union.
I don't think that's a controversial addition at all.
Okay, let me finish. Amy, can you add some clarification as to your department's thoughts behind this? I know Brian couldn't make it tonight because he's busy, but.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should be specifying specific areas on streets within this master plan, because this master plan is a broader thing. When we look at, you know, if we're looking to expand on Upper Union, we're gonna pick the parcels and do the research and look into it, that which one's appropriate. Obviously not right next to the Abbey, you know, where it's Rivera Drive, but we would do our own research into those, what are the best areas of town or on those streets that would be appropriate. And sometimes it's the market that drives it, it's people coming to us. And who would have thought, oh, well, look, this is a great area to go put this here. So, you know, I don't think we really need to get that specific in this at all. I think yeah.
I agree with you.
I'm okay with adding a bit more specificity, because things like along the Bellingham line, we're not proposing industrial along Beach Street, right?
And DPCD
But
can figure
almost
that
all
out.
the Bellingham line is, and when we talked about it as a subcommittee, we were really focused along 140. So I could see that, and even with Upper Union, we were talking about near King Street. So I could see that addition.
Could I add Washington Street with improved access toward Grove Street?
Well, there's a light there now, so there's all access.
They already got it.
They already put the light in.
You got a couple of lights.
Specifically put it on
Or
Grove Street.
oriented toward Grove Street? Toward Grove Street entrance,
Listen, all the areas towards
Uh,
Grove Street are already developed. Other
crossing,
than town wells, maybe we're gonna sell those out now, build something.
orientation toward Grove Street,
That entrance open.
access.
Hey, I asked that same question, why don't they? Yeah, school.
I'm okay with that.
I can appreciate the desire for being more specific, but whether we're putting Upper Union Street near King Street, or Washington Street oriented towards Grove Street, or 140 near Bellingham Line, ultimately what this is gonna boil down to is that in the future, the planning department is ultimately gonna decide, based on their feedback, what portion of Upper Union Street's ultimately gonna serve our needs.
There isn't much left on Upper Union
Right.
Street, let's face it,
So,
you know?
even being
The biggest
specific.
area you got left is West Central Street towards the Bellingham line. You got Grelix, Grelix is there operating. I wouldn't suggest anybody go to them, tell them we wanna rezone their building down there. But you also have Spring Street, everybody forgets that, it's a county layout. There was a developer in here a few years ago that wanted to build a couple of buildings off of Spring Street. He was gonna develop Spring Street and do it. I think the economy at the time drove him away, because he did build a couple of buildings on the other side of the westerly, and he was gonna use Spring Street. Spring Street's an old county layout, I think it's zone industrial. Some distance back off of 140.
So just to keep us on track, because we really only have about
Mm.
55 minutes to go here before the next major meeting starts, let's come to some decision on these talking points so we can move on
Well,
to
let's get
any
to the
other-
talking point. We'll have a vote on Kobe's language.
I like what Amy said, it's kind of developer-driven,
Yeah,
and it's
it
just
it
like,
is developer-driven, and I do
similar to what
agree that
happened
it's
down at
part of
the mill there on,
The whole point
Oh,
of
Union
this
Street.
exercise is to not have our planning be developer-driven. We get,
Yeah.
as residents, get to be proactive in planning, these are the types of uses that we want in certain places.
yeah, but if it's a developer looks at the master plan and says, oh, Washington Street, well, he may have other, doesn't specify a specific area,
That's my point.
but he'll come in.
Yeah, but we also don't want to waste people's time with a developer coming in with anything, any ideas along anywhere on Washington Street.
I like them just to come in and see what they're all about, maybe they have ideas we don't.
Okay,
More people's better than no people.
okay. Max, you had a point you wanted to make on this topic before I move on?
My name is Max Marangello. I live at 127 Central Park Terrace. Just want to make a couple points. One is that I understand the desire to increase the business side of the tax base because it lessens the residential burden. But I also worry, we do have a lot of residential and industrial space that is not as in demand because of the current economic climate. And I just want to make sure that we're not building space that will be unused. Furthermore, I just want to make sure that if we do have more industrial space, it doesn't take the place of more dense sort of residential, having more multifamily housing and that kind of thing. That it doesn't take the space of that or mixed-use residential as well. So I just want to make sure that it's not a zero-sum game, or if it is a zero-sum game, that residential is not. It doesn't play against residential in this case. Thank you.
Thanks, Max. Okay. Okay. So what I think we'll do is I'll put, that's land use and zoning goal 4. We'll actually put that one as a separate vote with the changes. Any other changes that people may have or want to suggest for other sections that we haven't already covered?
On the
Okay.
land use?
Under land use or any other section before we move on to voting on anything?
I've added some,
Okay,
so.
where's that?
In order. What's the best way to see where I've added?
Find your name.
Did they do find?
I don't know.
I don't think they do, yeah.
No?
No.
No, okay.
apologies. I mean, they're all in there, and everyone can see them, but we are, okay. First one is, C14C. This was just a note from Ali Rayom, one of the disability advocates. It's my group's section, but we just hadn't been able to talk about it. One of the things that she flagged was the lack of handicap van parking along the common. So I just added that.
CF 123? Which one was this?
1.4C. C 1.4.
What chapter are you?
Beginning.
It should be TC, it's traffic and circulation.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it should be TC. Okay, I can fix that.
Yeah, sequel 1B is just C as well, Colby, right there.
Yeah, I see that.
Like, how do you see that? It's so small.
Yeah, I know. How do you see that? I'm like, what are you looking at?
Traffic.
And this is
Font
under,
25, font 300.
this is under transportation?
Traffic and circulation.
Trying to find it.
TC
Yeah,
1.4.
TC.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Little Control F.
Boy, yep. Got
It's
it.
up at the top.
I got
It's
it.
on like.
TC 1.4, I got it.
Yeah, just added including van. I think that's
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's fine.
small.
Fine.
That's
How would that work?
I think it just needs a longer length and a lower
Fine.
curb cut so that it can open up, that you can
Well,
open
They
up
need
the
like
door.
about a 4 or 5 foot section to the side to allow the ramp to come down, so you don't want the van out in the road. You'd have to put some cutouts into the sidewalks.
Yeah, into the sidewalk, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, right? The curb cuts?
Yeah.
Is that what that
Yeah.
is meant,
Curb cuts.
right?
But it also needs a 4-foot buffer zone on the side for the ramp to open.
Mm.
Yeah.
Now, handicap, increased curb cuts, town car.
St. Mary's is on fire, three alarm fire right now.
I
Would-
just got that
That's where they were
alert too.
Would,
St. Mary's is on fire,
what?
St. Mary's is on fire, 3
St.
alarm.
Mary's Church.
Oh, shit, really?
The trucks were coming from out of town.
Oh, my
Yeah,
Yeah.
wow, they gotta cover the station and everything too.
Oh, man.
The
yeah, I
rectory, the
see it.
school, the garage out back, you know, or the
Well,
church,
they were
or the
having a
church.
It
thing
didn't-
tonight
Yeah, we
for
don't
the-
know which one.
Yeah, I
Reach
mean,
the
there's a
side.
whole big property there,
That's
could be the,
awful.
you know.
So just a quick question on this one, Kobe.
Yeah.
And Amy, where it says increase curb cuts, town common near handicap spaces, and otherwise elevate opportunities to add handicap, including van, parking along common. Would that include meeting the requirements of ADA, just to add some specificity to that?
Yeah, we could say ADA handicap.
Yeah.
That-
I think so.
That's
Just-
fine.
That's my only real suggestion to that.
I have to find, yeah, I would imagine, we know that handicap means ADA, but we can do that.
Well, you
Regardless.
might assume.
No, I think we do it. That's okay. That's good. But maybe that's what it means, but.
ADA,
Yeah.
handicap, including van, parking.
I think basically we've gone, at least in my area, we've gone away from calling it handicap and it's accessible parking or accessible routes and
Okay,
and even Ally's comments, you know, she would push us to just not go by the letter, the minimum that's required by ADA, and even if we didn't need it there, but we are choosing to say we want our common to be accessible for all.
Yeah.
Right.
Good,
Nice to know.
good point, Janelle.
okay, my next one, CSF 5.8. This was an idea that I know that our group had talked about, and I couldn't remember why it never made it in, if it was just my mental blank, and so I wanted to make sure I flagged it and gave us an opportunity to chat about it again. And what it is just exploring the opportunity of thinking of the senior center as both a senior and community center. Often it will have community events there and people will fail the show just because they think it's the senior center. And maybe there are availability to rent out some of the meeting spaces at night to local organizations.
Which one is this?
Yeah,
CSF?
it's like 5.8, you said?
CSF 5.8.
5.8.
How do you have that word? Sorry, I don't see it. Is it something as simple as renaming it? Or do you think, I'm not sure how you worded it.
Oh,
I could read it out. if
well,
that's-
I know
Yeah,
for,
it's
I know when the senior center was built, having spoken with Tom, the chairman, who was the building chairman of that building, he mentioned that it was its original intention was to be a community center. So that was really the goal of the building originally. I personally have no issue calling it senior and community center. It's technically what it's driven for, but I get it from a branding point, people automatically assume I can't go in this building because it's not intended for my age group.
Right.
So, it's a fair statement. I agree with it, yes, sir.
As long as it doesn't affect their ability, sorry.
That's okay.
Mark Minichelli, 31 Longfellow Drive. I totally agree with that, and one of the comments that I've heard in discussion about it is as long as it doesn't affect the senior center's ability to get grants and funding that it gets as a senior center.
I don't think that would be the case.
Yeah, I don't think so
Yeah.
either, but.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that would be the case.
I think the language here, it is explore rebranding. It's not to rebrand and make that decision now. And so I think that's a good point that Mark brings up, and we can look into that as the exploration occurs.
Cool.
Excellent.
Next one, CSF 6 point, oh man, I'm all over the place, 6.3. Okay, this was one that we hadn't talked about. I was just going through all my notes that I've ever taken on Franklin, and this was an idea that hadn't been discussed in our master plan. It's a small thing maybe, but it matters for town pride, which is how do we celebrate our high school athletics and extracurriculars. And right now we do it on an ad hoc basis where if the parents of the winning team are rich enough to sponsor a sign on the edge of the highway, then you get one and no one else does. And the thought was to make Panther Way put a place along Panther Way, sort of as opposing teams come in, they are going by our list of champions and having a policy for what makes that list.
Yeah,
I don't have an issue with that.
Okay.
I think that sounds good.
Sure, the school committee would put right up for that.
The only other comment I'd add to that is it's important to note that it's and extracurricular programs, and that it's not limited to just athletics, and that there's opportunities to recognize
Theater.
other
The robotics
amazing
team.
programs.
Go
that we
wind
have within our high
ensemble.
school.
Yeah,
DACA.
Exactly.
There we go.
mock trial.
Good point.
And it does say that.
Very good.
Okay, one small one. That's not really changed language, so I guess it doesn't. Yeah, I tried to match some language around the housing conversations, like senior housing conversations. I wanted to be reflective of some priorities, so I rearranged some things. Then I added the word congregate because that's how we word it in town.
You added the word restrict too on one.
We always had the word restrict. I chose to defend the word restrict.
I agree with the concept of restricting senior housing overlay to areas where there may be a potential fixed bus route.
Listen, if you got a project like that, and the bus is looking for customers,
That's what
they're gonna go there. It'll be on a route someday. There isn't anything in town that was built on a route so far, all the projects that we got in town. So,
Once it's built, they create the roof.
exactly.
Yeah, and this names that.
Yeah, but you put restricting, reevaluate or evaluate.
Okay, NCHR 3.2A. This is me getting into not my area, so defer to the housing, defer to the history folk. But one of the history projects, really the last remaining history project that I see that's under-identified in town, is we used to have this train village along the SNET, where the SNET interacts with Spring Street. And the Franklin Bellingham Rail Trail Committee has been trying to work with Mass DCR and the Historical Commission and the library to collaborate on a project that's probably just gonna end up being some signage with some cool old photos of what that used to be. That's just sort of highlights that area. It provides something along the trail. It's always nice for those groups to be able to point back to the master plan to, apply for grants around stuff like that. It's listed as a sub-action under Cultural Heritage Preservation Plan. One of the sub-actions would be, don't forget about this place.
So you wrote 3.2A.
I wrote 3.2A.
Glenn, is there any chance we could pull that up on
Sure.
screen?
What's this under
Thank
again?
you.
NCHR 3.2A. I'm thinking Control F is gonna be.
Control F, all right. 3 point,
Work with Mass DCR.
what is it,
Did you get it?
NCHR
NCH,
Work with the Mass DCR.
3.2A.
Local
3.2A.
stakeholders, including but not limited to the Historic Commission and Franklin Bellingham Rail Trail Committee, to highlight the cultural history of the former Wadsworth Village at the
Yep,
SNET
I see it.
crossing on Spring Street. You just use your find
Cool.
button.
all right.
He's got it here, all right.
I've been doing
Tough
computers.
crowd here.
Control F.
I've been doing computers since 1989. I
We
invented
get to
the
watch your
Control F
screen.
button. So, all right, so, CH, I see it.
Okay.
I never
Alright,
knew
and
that
who-
history.
And I guess who would work with the Mass DCR?
Yeah,
The
we don't really
stakeholders?
have a stakeholder for that one.
And local stakeholders?
That would be,
The same who would do.
The Historic Commission
HC,
or something
yeah.
like that,
Yeah.
maybe?
and
If it
DP,
helps, if it,
and
I guess I would defer to
Amy,
the planning department to fill that.
Yeah.
part in.
okay,
Yep.
But I think it'd be Historical Commission.
yeah.
okay. Now, any other things that people have? Now, let me make a statement before we go on voting on this document. right? My
Can
first
I just-
Yes, ma'am.
One of the ones that it looked like you added, Kobe, that you skipped over. Hold on, now I gotta scroll back in housing.
I definitely didn't get to all of them yet.
I know, but this one I have a question about.
Yep.
I'm scrolling back. Oh, H1.3A, revise the senior village overlay bylaw to increase production of age-restricted housing developments. Like, is this something that should live in land use and zoning? This is where it's an overlap, right? Like, we tried to get the goals of increased production of age-restricted housing, and then we would say, revise the bylaw, or, we actually have an objective in there, an action of revising the special permitting process to enable more.
Yeah, this is not any new language. It's just reversing the language to better match the priorities of the group, aka Bruce. So it's no new language.
Okay.
I would say it interacts with you the same way that it ever has.
Okay. I mean, this might be, there might be a cross-reference or something in here.
Yeah, I would defer to you as to how your group wants to interact with the housing goals.
All right. And then I had a question, Amy, in your email, you noted all the ones that are missing implementation mechanisms and timelines. We filled in most of ours, but we did have some gaps. Is this something we're trying to do? Like, we'll just do it after the vote?
Most likely, yes. I mean, so this, this needs to be finalized, I think what we put down, end of the week, or what were our timelines?
We have the 28th.
8th.
Yep.
So, that part of it those can get updated, like the
Right.
responsibilities, I've got some stuff to do on the responsibilities that will get added in. And you know what, everything that gets voted on tonight, you know, it still goes out as a draft copy.
Thank you.
To the
You-
public.
You beat me to it.
And
That's what I-
when, after we get through this, we'll talk about how feedback come back through. We just won't have you updating this exact document. You can still provide the feedback.
Okay.
By how we decide to collect it from the public.
So, thank you, Amy. You said exactly what I was going to say. Just for the record, just so everybody understands, the document that we have forth to us tonight, of course, is by far a rough draft. This is the rough draft of that, the implementation plan. Some tweaking is still gonna be done between now and the 28th. But ultimately, what we're voting on tonight is to approve this document in order for it to go out for more public input. So this document, as you see it tonight, we can actually vote on it as a whole, the whole thing, with revisions, and we can always tweak these revisions later on after we get feedback from the public. So I think what would be a fair thing to do is take, for instance, Kobe's examples on land use 4.2, A, B, C, and D, with the updates, with the changes that have been incorporated into this document, and then send that out to the public for, I believe we're gonna do for a month, Amy? About a month worth of feedback, and then this will once again come back to us. If the general feeling from the public with their input is that they feel it's unnecessary to be specific, then we can always change this on the last draft of this document, if that makes sense. So, for the point of brevity and to kind of get this topic moving along, I think what we should do is take a vote on the whole document as it's presented to us now with revisions for the Franklin Draft Implementation Program revision, October 22nd, 2024, as amended. I would take a vote on, take a motion on that.
Would
so-
you entertain any more comments?
Yes, unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time, but sure, I'd be happy to.
Just one more.
Yeah.
I had just sent a note to the distribution, this planning team distribution, an email. So you can disregard that if and when you see it tomorrow or tonight. During one of the subcommittee meetings, I had requested that we consider adding an education goal to the master plan. And tonight I noticed, Chairman Jones, as you were scrolling up and down, I think I saw a single line item there. And I'm just wondering whether, before you send it out for public review, would you consider making that a section rather than a line item?
CSF 6.
It's a goal.
Is it right up there with? Yeah,
Six.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it's fully built out, but if you want to.
Okay, no, I haven't had
Yep.
access or know where to find this document, so
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad
Yeah.
to
It's
see it.
not
I'm glad to
public
see it
yet.
there tonight.
It's not
Yeah.
public
Yeah,
yet.
okay, so
It will
thank
be.
you.
There's
It
a
will
whole
be.
goal. Yeah.
Yep.
For the sake of brevity, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
We've taken
Mhm.
your comments.
Yeah, no, it was great comments.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the group added a whole bunch.
Excellent. Okay.
So I'm perfectly okay with voting on the full with the current revisions, partly because the only remaining revisions are mine. I'm happy to talk through some of them, some the rest of them, or if you want to say that you trust me for the sake of brevity, I mean, you do that. I don't think I have that many more, but I did. Anytime I went into another group, I put the language here so that we could talk about it, but it was going to be me today proposing these, so.
I mean,
Fine
yeah,
with it.
I don't have a problem. I
Problem with
honestly,
what? For him to continue or
I-
for
I'm
us
not-
to vote?
I'm not
Move on.
going to the budget subcommittee meeting, so I'm more than happy to stay all night and talk about this, so.
Oh, they didn't include you in on that?
No, thank goodness. That's one blessing I have as a counselor. So yes, Kobe,
I mean-
by all means.
The next one is OSR 3.1A. This was, we've had increasing calls around building out SNET. I think the group was very responsive to that, and yet there are still probably responsibilities because in addition to acquiring the extension of the SNET trail, once we own it, we'll want to make sure that it's a pretty high priority that we improve that section of the trail. So I tried to place that in the area that it was best fit, which is around talking about improving Maple Hill and Schmidt Farm, and then a sub-action under that would be if we acquire the industrial track, plan for improvements.
What number is that
What was
again?
that? OSR two?
OSR 3.1A.
Oh, 3.1A.
Thought it was just off.
I thought you said 2.1A, so 3.1.
Okay.
Whoops. Just off the page, there you go. Wow.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all right with,
Yep. I don't have a problem with that.
Cool. OSR 3.2B.
Yep, I see that.
This is another Ali Rayum suggestion. She had pointed out that there was a lack of accessible ways for those with wheelchair or mobility issues to enjoy the concerts and movies on the Common, and that a build out of a small concrete area should be considered. And so that is it.
okay.
Through the chair, so
Yes.
we vote on this tonight, but
Mhm.
now it's going out to the public, so we,
Correct.
with all those comments, we could possibly change it again.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So why would we vote on it today, then why don't we wait for the changes? Why would we
Well,
wait?
we
You
have to
have to
have,
vote on
we
it.
have to have something that we wanna have as an official document that we're going to
Okay.
present to the public, so.
What's on the
It's gonna-
28th?
It's gonna go,
28th of October?
well, the 28th, the entire master plan is going to go out. So it's not just this document. So,
Right, but we're voting
Right.
on adding this document as is. With,
Yeah.
with the remaining
I mean-
revisions that are gonna be incorporated prior to the 28th, correct?
yeah, I don't think it's necessary to vote on it.
Okay.
I definitely don't think it's necessary to vote. I think if the committee's provided it, they know what we're doing with it and where it's going, and the committee will eventually need to vote on the final plan. That is going to be,
No, I
That
agree, but I thought
needed.
for the most part,
you wanna vote?
it's with the changes. I don't have, I don't personally have a problem with it.
How does this go out to the public?
Well, ultimately, that's what our next discussion point is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what was the meeting you said on the 28th? 28th of what?
It's not a
October or
meeting.
November?
Not a meeting, it's
No,
October.
It's just a
The
deadline.
deadline.
It's a
Yeah.
deadline to get this to the consultants.
Mhm. Yep, October 28th. Beta Group compiles the complete draft, including the introduction, community engagement, inventory and assessment, key issues, and this implementation plan. So, mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
So you don't see a need for us to vote on this as is?
No, I mean, unless the committee wants to, they can, but,
I'll throw it out to the group.
Unless Cody wants to change restrict to something else, I'm voting no.
Okay. And no opinion? All right. Well, then I'll just take a general consensus then, if no one feels necessary to vote on it.
Give it to the people.
Give it to the
Yeah,
people.
give it to the people, and then, if we have a chance to revise it again, then we'll do it then. We'll vote
All
after
right.
that.
If we get 5 people come in and start complaining, we'll probably change
Okay.
it, so.
Maybe
So
not.
then,
Maybe not.
then Amy, you're,
Yes.
you're free to take the document as amended, to put it into the remaining,
Okay.
draft. Can you, what's the earliest you can get these, compiled information to the committee as a whole? Is as early as the 28th, or is that too soon?
well, yeah, that's our deadline, so yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's when Barrett's gotta compile it all. I don't have any answer to that yet, I'll have to
Okay.
look into it.
Well, let me know. Any further discussion on the draft implementation plan revisions for any one section before we move on to the next item on our agenda?
No.
All right. Then let's move on. So, Amy, discuss public hearings in November. So as it stands now, just by way of explanation, let me pull up our calendar here. We have 23rd today. We've still got dates. I believe we were squeezing in November 6th. And it was really, I believe, based on looking at the calendar, it was kind of difficult to squeeze in many days in that calendar. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. Oh, I had the calendar.
When does council meet? Town council?
Good question.
I always have to look at the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know?
Google.
I'm trying to forget. No, because we change it, right?
We
So, like, it does get changed, updated.
Mm-hmm.
It's November 12th? Is that a Wednesday? Is there like, isn't that?
That's the 13th is.
Yeah, I think that's a date.
13th is a
Yeah.
council meeting.
I did know.
Just didn't want to admit it.
So, would you like to try something like the 20th, where we've already gotten this document out, it's been a few weeks, and then we can do a presentation, people can bring comments, questions?
What was
Or
that
if you did the 6th, it'd be right
Can you
away.
look at the 20th?
There-
20th is also a council meeting.
I think we're gonna do the tax rate
Ah.
hearings
Yeah,
in
tax rate
November.
hearings. Yep.
So our only opportunity is the 6th, unless we do a different night.
Well, we could do a different night. Good question.
So this is a different night instead of the 6th? Instead of a Wednesday,
Well,
maybe the
I-
Thursday or something, or
Yeah?
I'm
Thursday
flying
the
home just to get here for
For
the 6th.
that, I have to put it
Wednesday?
on my big calendar. Oh, there's my big calendar.
You're flying home just to get to the 6th?
Yeah, whatever. Flight lands in Boston, just so I can get here.
Oh, jeez.
Where's the
We
Bruins
can't
games
change
on
it
this?
now.
Huh?
Where's the
They're on
Bruins
there.
games on this?
They're on there.
What is your
They're right there.
All right, just
carbon
checking.
footprint
no, no,
now?
no.
Meet up to-
Yeah, it's not great.
Bruce,
So-
do you have a November meeting?
Let's talk about this.
I'm looking right now.
Appreciate
You
that.
do, what day?
That's good.
Okay.
Have 'em.
We have council on the
2 weeks
13th.
after,
We have council on the
Yeah, I'm
20th.
traveling for my surgery.
So I've got the third,
14th?
I have 13th.
Would that be what it is? Pretty sure.
We have a council meeting and we have a council meeting on the, on the 20th.
No,
No, it's.
no, it'd be the 7th.
Yeah.
Be the 7th.
2 in a row, the 13th
Mhm.
and 20th.
Okay,
Yep.
we don't have-
Hey,
Shut my school calendar off.
14th? No, we can't do 14th?
we could, right?
Yeah, we could.
Bruce says his is the 7th. The only thing would be conservation. That's the case, I guess it's,
We come up here.
yeah.
The 14th? Yeah. I don't have,
Instead of the 6th.
I don't have a problem with
Alright.
that.
Okay.
And is that for the public hearing then,
Yes.
to collect feedback? Thank you.
Okay. Then we
And-
might want to be in the chambers, right,
Mhm.
for the public
Yes.
hearing?
What do you, can
And
you
this'll
pull up
be-
the town calendar?
Sure.
See, it would probably, or even if you went to the town website, went to boards and committees, went to
Yeah.
conservation. That would be my only other conflict on a Thursday night, I think, is
Yeah.
conservation. If
Hmm.
Bruce said he's the 7th, ZBA on the 7th, maybe,
There's conservation, yeah.
conservation is on the 14th.
Yeah.
What's the
What's
21st
the
bring?
21st?
Yeah, what's the 21st bring us?
CBA.
Oh,
If we, all
I
I know
know.
is we only got one application going forward until the 7th. I don't know if we're gonna have anything for the 21st.
Would be nice.
Is that the day we were just talking?
Yeah.
21st?
28th we're busy.
Yeah, 28th.
Yeah.
Saturdays are up there.
I don't have a problem with the 21st. That will actually allow to give the public a little bit more time
mm-hmm,
for
I
feedback, right?
would prefer not the 21st, because some of our best land use advocates in town, who participate in a group called Building Equitable Neighbors for Franklin, are being recognized by the state for their work that night. And I think that they would be the very people that would want to participate in a town hearing on the master plan.
Oh, they just have to change it.
Let's go
All right.
14th.
come up here.
Alright.
It's okay, there's plenty of room.
I can talk with conservation if they're willing to come up here for one night and we get the council chambers. Just ask them to switch with us.
Right.
I can do that.
They're
So-
reasonable people.
Is that Meg?
She's
Yeah,
not on it
no, Meg
anymore.
doesn't,
Not
Meg's
on
not on
anymore.
Conservation
She's not on it.
Commission.
She's the
Um,
Pat?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, next.
Jeff
You're not invited to
Livingstone,
So that was the 14th?
Roger Trahan.
Yes.
I think there's
So
a
I'll
couple-
put that
there's a couple
together.
new people.
Thank you. Very cool. All right. So, discuss the next agenda item. Anything else on dates? Okay, we don't need to worry about any of the December dates, right? We're pretty solid on those? All right. So, agenda item 3, discuss gathering feedback from the master plan draft. Amy?
Yeah, I'm just trying to think, what's the best way to do it? I thought of having on the master plan webpage a Google form. It would be very brief. It would be, you know, put in the subject, put in the page number, and write your comment. It's not going to be a very extensive form. There's other ideas. You have, we can add that as well, but that should be one of the options.
Well,
Yeah.
ultimately, we're gonna have to use whatever resources we have, from Twitter to Facebook to our emails, to allow people either a QR code or a link. I hate links, but something that's gonna get them to the draft document
Yes.
for their review.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I like the idea of the form, simple form,
mhm.
easy to fill out, QR code, boom. And then, but sometimes when you put it on social media, Glenn,
Yes,
the people are looking at it with their phone because they don't have a computer, and so they can't
they can't
scan the QR
'cause it's
code.
on their I
Yeah.
understand, yeah. Then, I'm okay with the link, I don't have a problem with it. So.
Just put both, it's okay.
I do think, we did a great job earlier on with Form Franklin's future and some of the branding that's around that. I think it would be really advantageous for us to continue with that brand
Reincorporate that.
theming and incorporate it into it, make it a little flashy, to bring some attention to it. I agree with distributing it as many ways as we can out there, and not just limiting it to the email blasts from the town.
Right.
To get out
'Cause
there.
emails
As
get
far as,
buried.
yeah, it gets a little, I get them, I look at them, but it can be a little clunky. As far as how to collect feedback, I'm open to, I think we need to be receptive to a variety of different ways. We don't wanna, I like the form idea, if that helps, but I think we also need to be prepared that it won't be limited to that. And to the extent that a resident wants to email a certain person within the town to
Right.
provide their input in an email. I know, Rebecca Lee was really great in helping me out with some of the thoughts on Schmidt Farm that I wasn't able to participate in, and so having a variety of means for community members to provide that input is gonna be really helpful.
All the ways, Amy.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Mel,
This is
That was
for-
real
this is
helpful.
for everybody.
This is really important, though. This is so important. to
It
get
is.
feedback.
No, it's-
Because
I-
how many people have gotten in touch with us about this implementation plan and wondering whether something was in it or not in it? Mark's been bringing input in, you know,
Yeah.
I know Bob's been talking about it on the SNET side of things. And so I think it's so important that we get this out to get that input so that we can feel good.
I also think that as part of, getting the feedback about the master plan was something I mentioned at the last meeting, I probably should talk into the microphone, is to try to put aside some time. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the whole committee, but I think if anybody wants to volunteer their time, and I know November can be kinda busy, end of October into November could be kinda busy, but if people wanna volunteer the time, we can still offer an opportunity at the senior center or the library to have people come in person and kind of give their feedback as well,
Mhm.
and kind of give some insight into.
Be happy to do that.
into
Yeah, that'd be okay.
Likewise, I'd be happy to make time. And
Yeah,
I was thinking about that too on a Saturday, recognizing not everybody can come out on an evening
right.
to get that
Right.
feedback, and if we
Four
create
in
an
the morning
opportunity
or
to do
something,
it,
yeah.
that'd be great.
Yes, I
Yep.
agree.
And there's the library too,
Right.
Yep.
you know, different times, I don't know.
We don't need to go we don't need to have 5 sessions, but let's have one.
No, but I agree.
Yeah.
It would be nice to have, at least to give people the opportunity, kind of like they just did recently with the Schmitz Farm and the discussion they had for a couple hours down at the senior center. That was, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, and community center.
It was great.
You know?
That's why it
I
should be a
wish I could've
community
gone. I
center.
wish I could've
There
gone. I
already
was
is
out
a
of town,
community
but-
center.
It is.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
Those
I
are
think
my
That's a good
thoughts,
idea. I think
so.
we should do everything.
I agree. It's kind of tough to pick a date right now.
For tabling?
I'm sorry?
For tabling?
Yeah.
I mean, if you just let me know, I'll get it posted. And,
Okay.
add it to the
All
calendar.
right, so basically, let's just do this. Raise your hand if you're willing to put some time out on the side, and I'll just kind of note who everyone is, and I will.
All of us.
All right.
Oh, we're gonna have to,
I will throw out an email, Amy will too, kind of discussing what
Sure.
dates, times, and locations
Yeah.
are best. I do know, remember when we had the open space with Meg over at the library?
Mhm.
We literally got there at 3 o'clock. Everybody just left at 3 o'clock. And we were trying to get feedback from the public, so I think we ultimately kind of want to find what's the best time for us to have an event that's really going to draw as much attention as we can and not kind of be left empty-handed like we were that
yeah, you
time.
look at the event calendar
Yeah.
on the, at the library,
Yeah.
and you contact Kaylee Keating,
Good
Callie
idea.
Keating, and she will
She
tell you
is
when the best time
awesome.
is to see the most amount of people in that hallway.
She knows everything. And just for the record too, for those who didn't know this, we actually got an opportunity to use the conference room at the library on the second floor for our open space recreation subcommittee meeting with, and it was great. So it's an option for people. I do know, and Amy, I don't know if you heard about this at all, but they've actually had scheduling issues with their software over there, and supposedly their software doesn't work very well for scheduling things. I walk in and there was somebody already sitting at the desk doing work at 6 o'clock when the meeting was scheduled for. I'm like, I'm sorry, but we have this room scheduled, so they've got a little bit of work to do over there on that part. But for the most part, it's a nice place to have a meeting. So, all right, good. So we'll talk more about that. Any other discussions about gathering feedback for the master plan? Any other opinions, thoughts, or ideas on the matter? Janelle, I didn't want to leave you out of there because I know you're in Zoom land. I didn't know if you had anything you'd like to add.
No, all sounds good to me.
Okay. So did you say we could have this at the Museum of Fine Arts on the?
Ooh.
Big bucks.
Okay. So the next thing on our agenda for tonight is to approve meeting minutes. Amy, what dates do we have for those
Oh,
meeting
you know
minutes?
what? I didn't even print them. Does someone else print them? Sorry. You got them. Didn't you have them? You had the full agenda, right?
That's for the next meeting.
Oh.
If we don't have them, we can
No,
always.
just pull up the agenda on the master plan.
Yeah, you had sent this out.
I think there was only like there might have only been one set. So if you go to the master plan
Yep, I'm
main
going.
page,
I'm going. I had it up here a second ago. I don't know where it went.
well, you,
26, 'cause it was too early.
there. No, just go over
Yep,
to
I'm
boards
going.
and committees.
Here we go.
There you go. Yep. I want to say if you scroll down.
Oh, I see.
I think there's only one.
Oops.
If you scroll down the next page, it'll give you the date. There's
Okay.
October
October
2nd. Yeah,
2nd.
we're all caught up.
All right.
Yep.
So I need a motion for
Motion to approve.
meeting minutes
Second.
for October 2nd, 2024.
Roll call vote,
Mhm.
Bruce,
If I was there, yes. Yeah, I was there.
Gino,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Janelle,
You were there, Bruce.
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
Mel, yes, Kobe,
Yes.
Glenn,
Yes.
unanimous.
Cool.
Awesome.
And that pretty much wraps up tonight's meeting. Wow, look at that. Very good, everybody.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
You do that so well. All right. Vote.
Roll call vote. Bruce.
Non-debatable, by the way.
Gino.
Yes.
Rick.
Yes.
Janelle.
Yes.
Eric.
Yes.
I'm already checking Eric's.
Hey,
Joe.
don't get ahead of it.
Mel.
Do that for someone else.
Kobe.
Yes.
At this
Glenn.
point, Eric, it doesn't make any
Yes.
difference what you
Yes,
vote.
Good,
unanimous.
good night, everybody.
for
Thank you
watching,
for
everyone.
tuning in.
Tune in to the next one.
All right.